Hello and a very warm welcome to our viewers on PBS in America and around the world. A legal and diplomatic battle involving China, the US and Canada appears to have been resolved. Two Canadians who were detained in China on espionage charges for 3 years are returning to Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made this announcement earlier.
The aircraft carrying Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor left Chinese airspace and are on their way home. They boarded at about 7:30 Ottawa time, along with Dominic Barton, Canada's ambassador to China.
It comes just hours after the US reached a deal to release the Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou. She's now on a flight returning to China after being freed by a Canadian judge. She was detained in Canada on a US warrant for extradition on charges of financial impropriety. She had always maintained her innocence and spoke outside the court.
Over the past 3 years, my life has been turned upside down. It was a disruptive time for me as a mother, a wife, and a company executive. But I believe every cloud has a silver lining. It really was an invaluable experience in my life. I will never forget all the good wishes I've received from people around the world. As the saying goes, the greater the difficulty, the greater the growth. Once again, thank you so much.
Well, let's stick with this story for the time being. We're joined now by Mackenzie Gray. He's a journalist with the Canadian broadcaster CTV. Mackenzie, good to see you. What's been the reaction to this news in Canada?
Well, it's been wide-sweeping. Most Canadians are very happy to see the two Michaels home. This has been a big thorn in the side of re-elected Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The election was just a couple of days ago, and we're seeing from his rivals, the leader of the Conservative Party, Erin O'Toole, and the leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, both coming out and congratulating and seeing great excitement for the two Michaels, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, coming back home, something that people across the political spectrum have been pushing for a long time, a big win for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau this evening.
Canada was dragged somewhat unwittingly into diplomatic spats between the US and China. Does this now improve relations between Canada and China, but also with Canada and the US?
Yeah, let's talk about Canada and China first. They've been talking at different points in time about a free trade deal at different spots. Justin Trudeau had went to China to try and pursue a free trade deal before Meng Wanzhou was arrested in Vancouver and before the two Michaels were taken into custody. I don't think we're going to see that back on, but there's been issues around pork and canola here in Canada, and we definitely could see something like that being dealt with. We could also see on the Canada-US front, this has been a big issue that Justin Trudeau has been pushing and something that Joe Biden's agreed upon. And this has really been the first win for Justin Trudeau on the US front with Joe Biden. There's been issues like Keystone. There's been issues around Buy America that have been problematic for Justin Trudeau. But finally, right after an election, he has a big win that he's going to take forward with him.
There had been criticisms of Mr. Trudeau for not standing up strongly enough to China, but for the two Michaels and Meng Wanzhou to be getting on planes almost simultaneously, there clearly was some kind of backroom negotiating going on. Yeah,
this is as close to an old-school prisoner swap as you're going to find. This is just like the Cold War. It's not like marching people over at the Berlin Wall, but in a modern sense, this is what it's like. Ms. Meng's plane took off around 5 o'clock, or maybe about 6 o'clock Eastern here. As soon as she was done at the court in Vancouver, she went straight to the airport, got in an Air China plane, and flew to an unspecified location. We're assuming it's China. And in the same vein, the two Michaels, as Prime Minister Trudeau announced later this evening, were on a plane pretty much at the same time. So we talked to experts earlier today. I talked to the former Canadian ambassador to China, and he'd said, look, it's going to take a couple of months, expected being in October. So it really caught all of us here in Ottawa and most experts off by surprise that it happened so quickly.
OK, Mackenzie Gray from CTV joining us from Canada. Thanks very much. This Sunday marks the end of a political era in Germany.